Hello and welcome to Tech World. I'm Nathan, and today we're going to take a look at the iPad Pro, which has been advertised heavily by Apple as a sort of on-the-go computer, and the similarly priced MacBook Air, which is of course a fully fledged laptop, and comparing both of these devices. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to take a look at the hardware that each of these devices have to offer. With the iPad, there's definitely much less that we get to start with. The only port is a USB-C port, which is located in a fairly inconvenient place on the side of the iPad, but when you pair it with the $300 Magic Keyboard, there is one more port added on the side of the keyboard, but it does not currently support data transfer, which is a major problem. Regarding ports, the MacBook is a little better with two USB-C ports and a headphone jack, but I think everyone using these devices can agree that they need both more ports. The keyboard and trackpad are of course built in, along with Touch ID. On the flip side though, the iPad of course offers a full touchscreen, which is nice and some people would prefer overall, but if you want to do real work on any of these devices, most people would agree that you need at the very least a keyboard for typing emails. Moving on to the physical portability of these devices, they do have differences, but they aren't actually that extreme from an external point of view. They both offer easy operation on a table or in your lap, whichever one you're using, and of course both have options for typing, and of course with the MacBook, a built-in keyboard. Non-physically though, the iPad supports cellular data while the MacBook does not. For people traveling to areas that are non-Wi-Fi or people who are constantly on the road, the iPad is clearly the better choice given the flexibility of just picking up the iPad and knowing you'll have an internet connection instead of having to use yet another device to create a mobile hotspot. Now, when we compare the interfaces of these two devices, the difference is huge. They run totally different operating systems, and to be honest, you need a fair amount of knowledge to successfully use macOS. Now, with the Big Sur update being released, it definitely takes a step in the right direction towards being more user-friendly, but the easy operation of iOS cannot be ignored. For example, with a MacBook, you need to know a fair number of keyboard shortcuts to really make the most of programs that involve a higher level of work, but with iOS, functions are usually just a tap or two away instead of being hidden in option bar menus. One of the main reasons people purchase devices like these is to use them for work or school. Usually when you're filling out a report or typing an essay, you need to have multiple apps, tabs, and windows open. This is where things really get quite dicey for the iPad. Apple boldly advertises multitasking on pretty much all of their iPad devices, but in reality, it's a lot more difficult and limited than it might seem. For example, there's a 2 to 3 app limit on split screen mode depending on which apps you're trying to use and how much space they take up. For example, if you're editing a video in iMovie or Final Cut Pro, you don't want to have a tiny half screen for apps like those, since it would shrink or hide a lot of the controls and make them extremely difficult to use. In fact, many people who use those programs purchase external displays to solve this problem and extend to those. However, the iPad Pro does not support extending to an external display. The only option is mirroring exactly what's on the iPad screen, therefore losing the double screen experience. The MacBook, however, does support this, making it a much better choice if you need several apps or displays for your job. When it comes to comparing the apps that these devices support, it really isn't a fair comparison, since this category is mainly asking the question, what apps do you need? If you need to do intensive tasks like video editing, spreadsheet management, and more, you'll definitely want to go with the MacBook, which has much better support for apps like those. If your goal is to be creative with your job and you need a device that supports iOS apps, then the iPad is clearly the better choice. If you purchase an additional Apple Pencil for $129, then you'll be able to draw and handwrite notes. So it really depends on what your specific needs are for your job. Now, I will say both of these devices will equally cause you to be slowly lured into Apple's ecosystem. For example, the MacBook has a feature where you can use your Apple Watch to unlock the laptop simply by wearing it. On their website, you'll see suggestions for AirPods, Apple Pencils, cases, and more, which are all enticing and pair effortlessly thanks to the iOS and macOS integrations. So you may find yourself purchasing additional Apple devices even after you buy either one of these for your primary device. However, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Of all the major computers and tablet computers on the market, these two devices are probably the most tightly integrated with other devices in their ecosystems. If you take a photo on your iPhone and want to use it on your MacBook or iPad, you won't need to do anything, and it will be there automatically thanks to iCloud. Apple even has a feature called Handoff that detects a task you're doing on one Apple device and allows you to seamlessly switch to completing it on another. These features are all very helpful and easy. We're going to look at both the physical and digital versatility of both of these devices. Physically, they're honestly not that different. The iPad is always marketed as much easier to use outdoors, carry, and more, but the difference is slim if it's there at all. The MacBook is actually lighter than the iPad when paired with the Magic Keyboard, and they're always portable devices that can be used pretty much anywhere. Of course, the ports are also a win for the MacBook, like was already discussed previously in the video, but it really isn't that much different either. For most people, Google Drive and Dropbox are easy solutions, and constantly connecting external drives is a thing of the past. Digitally, there's more software that exists for macOS right now that would be used in a work environment, but I think tablet computers like the iPad are about to get a lot more support for programs that used to be computer only. The iPad also has the benefit of being able to convert from a personal video watching tablet to a complete with trackpad and keyboard workstation by simply detaching it from the magnets on the Magic Keyboard. The only downside to this is you immediately lose all case protection as soon as you detach it, so you might want to be careful with that. Alright everyone, thank you for watching. For me personally, I think I would go with the MacBook just because of the multitasking limitations on the iPad, but I'll leave a link in the description for both devices. I also have a few accessories that I just personally find useful for the MacBook, which I have, and I'll link them below as well. Thanks again, and I'll be making more videos soon. Have a great day.